Greetings, Mega Man fans, and welcome back to the Mega Man 42 LPA. In this episode, we'll be taking on Brain Man, who is very aptly named considering the size of that cranium. Well, interesting looking level design, and interesting music too. Anyway, split path right away. Yeah! And here we have rollers. We've seen them before in Madman stage, but this area actually is, I guess you could say it's kind of their main habitat, for lack of a better term. This is where they show up the most often. And, you know, I can't complain about them, at least so far. Even if you are quick enough to kill them, like, ruthlessly, it's actually very easy to understand how they behave, simply because they are on both paths. And this here is a Trizer. It's an enemy that shoots lasers forward. It's a very simple enemy, and until I started talking about it, we all saw how I was dodging it perfectly. Simple enemy type, not really very impressive. That revolver there, though, not exactly the best introduction considering it is immediately dangerous to you. But, you know, it could be worse. And here we have a little moment to see the imperfection in the roller's behavior. It doesn't jump. It doesn't just zip straight up to the ceiling. It actually does have a set jump height. So as a result, it won't always make it to the ceiling like it means to. That'll be important down the road. And here we have a Seeker, fairly basic thing. And we also have moving platforms. I will note that they are flickering up a storm, so it's entirely possible that the recording is not picking them up, and that Seeker was in a very good spot to be a pain in the rear. But yeah, it's entirely possible that the recording is not picking up those platforms, so just mentioning that they're there, and in the actual game you can see them just fine. So that would be why I wouldn't be complaining about random invisible platforms, assuming they are invisible. Anyway, an interesting note about this place, you see, we all see these, analyses here, on the walls. I consider that one of the only hints to this game's plot outside of just reading the manual. Yes, this game has a plot. It is pretty much Wily's standard take over the world plot, except he's actually kidnapped all of your support units. Rush, Beat, Tango, he's stolen all of them. One reason why you don't exactly have access to them. Anyway, with that platform above the Trizer right here, this room would have been pretty much perfect to actually introduce the Trizer's behavior. But, alas, it isn't. Kinda disappointing that, but oh well. Can't win them all. And it's moments like this that make me wish we had the slide. Like that right there looks like such a perfect slide path, but I'm pretty sure Roll's dash won't let her go through it. And here we have more moving platforms. With a slightly more precarious setup than before. Nothing too terribly bad, but still tricky. Aha, you're a Trizer. Yeesh. Sorry about that. The sudden Trizer messed me up. And look at that. This was a section that would have been maybe a bit trickier if we didn't know about the fact Roller doesn't just zip into the ceiling. So, good call showing that information off earlier, that way the player isn't screwed over later on here. And I see more moving platforms. Platforms and the Seekers actually make a rather nice pair, at least in terms of making things difficult. Oh, that's okay. There. Didn't drop anything. Oh well. Oh dear. Now the platforms aren't even synchronized anymore. That could be a problem for surviving this section. And as I proceed to aptly demonstrate. GG. That was brilliantly done. Oh well. Now, the level isn't too terribly difficult, so... well, it doesn't hurt that much. I have to go back through bits and pieces of it. What do you say? I keep jumping into that Seeker like a complete... oh well. Well. I do kind of like the music here. It's decently fast-paced, and... well, actually, who am I kidding? The melody here is a strange one. Plenty of analyses images in the background. Makes you wonder if this is where the support units are being held. If only. I imagine there are some spots where having access to rush coil or something would make things maybe a pinch easier. Okay, no. Alright, let's actually see if I can... okay, that spot was not safe to jump at. Maybe waiting a while. There we go. That was a very tricky jump, but... we made it that time. And we're at the boss gate. And because I'm Roll, I can just dash right past those guys and really not be worrying about them. Anyway, the level here is mildly interesting. The enemies are fairly simple, but are used in halfway effective manners, and the moving platforms are actually halfway decent. They have a bit of a difficulty curve to them, and I do like the way they get paired up with the Seekers, so you're not dealing with anything too unfair. It's actually a rather decent level. Nothing really to complain about. Though I will also note nothing about this place really stands out that much either. It's a level, and a fairly decent one, really. At the very least, nothing to complain about. Brain Man, on the other hand... well, most of the time he's halfway decent. Like this, his telekinesis attack, ow, is not too bad. That, on the other hand... homing laser is a pain. Put it simply, you don't dodge this. Like, you don't. You do not dodge the homing laser. So basically, whether or not you manage to beat this guy depends solely on whether or not he spams homing laser. He has one other ability, which allows him to just teleport. But it is not as dangerous as the homing laser is. It's just straight up, homing laser is his single... yeah, there's the teleport. But, really, so long as you see it coming... like, he's not too bad outside of the... ow. Outside of the ow. Oh, yeah, outside of the ow. Because really, that's what homing laser is. It's an instant ow. It's really not a fair attack to deal with. Like, I was fighting that entire battle hoping he wouldn't spam homing laser. If he got spamming with homing laser, I guarantee you he would have killed me. Oh well. It's done. We'll still have to deal with him in the rematch, but I'll be using his weakness then, so it'll be a little easier. He's no madman, but an undodgeable attack? Really? Anyway, at least his weapon is pretty decent. The homing laser itself has a fair amount of ammo, a fair amount of power, and it's homing. And it's a homing weapon that actually works. Can't really complain about that, you know? It works, that's kind of the important aspect. Anyway. And with that, that's it for this episode. Pretty decent level, but, that boss fight. Oh well, we've seen worse. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And for the next one, we'll be going somewhere a little higher than before. But until then, thank you all very much for watching, and I shall see you in the next episode. Till then, goodbye!